Good morning again, Falcons fans. J. Michael Moore here, wanting to check in and talk a little bit about tight ends with the NFL draft. We are in the midst of draft discussions on AF.com, and we will examine positions of need for the Atlanta Falcons as they head into the 2009 NFL draft. Tight ends being a position where the team possibly could look for a pass catcher, possibly could not address the position at all given some needs on defense, but nonetheless we wanted to start. Before I get into discussing some of the tight ends and the tight end situation, I wanted to make sure everyone enjoyed the videos that I posted earlier this week from the future ad campaign the Falcons are going to get started, entitled "The Hunt is On." So please feel free to leave your comments on that. Everyone here really appreciates those and loves to get feedback. And if you live in the Atlanta area, look for those on television soon. So, when it comes to tight ends, there's one major concern, problem, issue, whatever you want to call it, about this group of tight ends coming into the draft, and that being, can they block? Now, when you look at the rise of the spread offense in college football, one thing that does not require the tight end to do very much is to get his hand in the dirt, as they say, and run block and engage defenders as much. They're more called upon to split out even as a wide receiver. A lot of these guys of the draft even play wide receiver, and they're just switching over to tight end because of their size. It doesn't translate very well, and that's going to be an issue with a lot of teams. And on an aside, if you really want to get my opinion on it, I could see even the tight end position evolving in the NFL if this takes place over another 2, 3, 4 years and the spread offense gets more and more popular in college football. They're going to start recruiting tight ends to play that position, and then it's just going to start a cycle. And all of a sudden, you get to the NFL, and you're going to see teams go to more unbalanced lines when they want to run the ball with an extra blocker, maybe an extra tackle, maybe a tight end per se that is really just an extra offensive lineman. There are a few of those in the league already who really started their careers as a tackle or even a guard and have kind of put the tight end title in front of them. So again, that's a few years down the road, and that's more of a strict J. Michael Moore crazy prognostication, and very rarely do those come true. But first, I wanted to examine the Falcons' current tight end situation. As you know, the team re-signed Justin Peele, who's the most reliable pass catcher at that position last season, but still only had 15 catches for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you really only saw him working the middle of the field in terms of a crossing route, in terms of something that Matt Ryan could use as a safety valve. Ben Hartsock, unfortunately, got hurt. That big free agent acquisition, only caught 3 passes for 26 yards, but was always kind of seen as a run-blocking tight end, somebody who could get in there and mix it up and really help Michael Turner, who was kind of that crown jewel of free agency, that person the team really built their offense around to give Matt Ryan some protection and to keep defenses honest. So you look at what the Falcons were able to do last year given that tight end situation, and it's pretty good. But you have to think that a pass-catching tight end, someone who can split the middle of the field, and that's something that the Falcons did not do with the tight end position. They did more of the slot wide receiver position with Michael Jenkins sometimes Harry Douglas, which is just as effective, but a big body that can run fast can really play havoc with the defense and can really make things an issue in terms of breaking down a zone especially. So there are a couple other guys on the roster right now, Jason Rader and Keith Singer. Keith Singer being on the practice squad last year, a draft pick in 2008, who the team really just wanted to develop, has all the physical skills you want to see in a tight end. His hands may not be there quite yet. So that's something the team will look to continue to address. Now, when it comes to the draft, say the Falcons are at that number 24 pick and they decide they want to take a tight end, logic suggests the really key first-round grade tight end would be Brandon Pettigrew out of Oklahoma State. He's probably the best all-around tight end in the draft, even though he did play in a pseudo-spread offense at Oklahoma State. He's got the size, and he's a pretty good blocker. His speed is a question. He did not post a very good 40 time at the Combine. People have compared him more to Jason Witten in that regard, who's still a Pro Bowl tight end. So you don't necessarily need 4.5 speed like a Jared Cook in South Carolina, who I've kind of dubbed this year's Vernon Davis, who really shocked everyone at the Combine with what he could do physically, a 4.5 40, a fantastic vertical leap. Then you got some guys who are tweeners. James Casey from Rice, who I blogged about yesterday, a guy who can play 5, 6, 7 different positions in college. Not saying he will do that in the NFL, but he was second in the nation with 111 catches for 1,300 plus yards, 13 touchdowns. So if you want to go with more of a large wide receiver type, James Casey's a guy you might be able to get in the later rounds. He played baseball for a while, went to Rice, so he's a little older than most rookies, and that may push his draft stock down. And then you've got a guy like Chase Kaufman, who is a straight up spread offense tight end at Missouri. I know teams have had trouble finding film of him where he could see if he could block. You go all the way back to his early college career, and that's a little concerning. But that's what they have pro days for. That's what guys can go out and the scouts can actually ask them to do different things. But you can get a little clue if you look at the combine numbers about how some of these guys can be if they're taught to block more, if they're asked to do it more. You would think it's the bench press. Yes, you can kind of see a guy's strength from that. But look at the drills like the 3-cone drill, even the 40, to really judge a guy's explosiveness. And that's what teams want to see is how quickly they can come from a standstill position, that anaerobic activity. So if a guy is really quick in those, really strong in those, that can be a sign that he can develop into a pretty good blocker. But obviously the bench press is a lot of fun, and that's what we want to see guys throw up a lot of weight. And I believe Brandon Pettigrew threw up 28 reps or 24 around there, and then you had the guys throw up 28 to lead the tight ends. So not incredible, but pretty good, and that's probably the best place you can start when you want to evaluate this and see if you can scout it out yourself.